I made the decision to have the child before the marriage. So that was on me.
But still.
He's good enough to marry.
Okay, then why not marry him?
Because he just has to grow into his manhood a little bit more. That's all.
No, it's not all. This doesn't make any sense to the rest of us in the world.
I know it doesn't. But because when I first met him, you know, it was all charming, all the bells and whistles. He was the wonderful guy.
Why do all that and not why do all that's fine. What brings what makes all of this our business, if you want to know, what makes it our business is when a child is born. Because that child goes into the world. And we got to deal with that. Y'all could have had all the sex y'all wanted to. But if he wasn't a man enough to marry, he shouldn't have been man enough to have a baby for.
No, like I said, we were engaged.
It doesn't matter. There's no way to get past it. Baby after marriage.
I asked him whether he wanted to have the child first or the marriage first. And he wanted to have the child. So I gave him a child. And it was just it was a decision that was easy for me because I'm already used to being a quote unquote baby mother. So, you know.
I know.
That's what makes it that I made at that age.
But see, that's the thing. And that's what makes it. So like you said, generationally. Mm-hmm. This is the same thing. You've had 3 kids and you already know that. He wanted to have the child out of wedlock. That should have been number 1 clue that he wasn't ready.
That's not true. It wasn't that he wasn't ready. It was just that I saw things after I had a baby with him that I probably wouldn't have seen if I would have got married first and then had a child.
That's the point. Get married first.
But then I would have been stuck with the things that I have to deal with now. That
absolutely no. We gotta stop this shit. We gotta stop this as a culture. We gotta stop this. Y'all are more concerned with being quote unquote stuck. I mean, a mother of 4 kids, you stuck, period. 3 or 4. But we gotta stop this silly shit about, well, being a wife is one thing, but being a baby mama is on a different level.
Like I said, it was a cultural thing when I was growing up that it was just kind of, it wasn't okay to be a pregnant teenager, but you would be okay because your mother, your grandmother, your auntie.
But you're 30. How old is your youngest? How old is your youngest?
She's 3.
Ma'am, you're old enough to know to marry before you carry. It doesn't matter who he was, what he asked for, what the price of tea in China. You got 3 kids. You know that by now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we have another woman, another black mother who is another mother, a black woman in this case, who's just saying, sure, I'll give it to you. And now we got a 4th kid, and we don't have another black family. We got another fractured situation.
It's only fractured in the sense that we don't have.
It's fractured in the sense that it's fractured. It's fractured in the sense that I'm sitting here talking to a woman. It is fractured in the sense that I'm sitting here talking to a woman who's saying I had a baby for a man who ain't mature enough and handling his man shit. That's how it's fractured. Stop making excuses for it.
I'm not going to say that he's not mature enough.
It doesn't matter what it is. He wasn't. Lord have mercy.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm there, man. But it's just you're not listening.
I hear you loud and clear. I already accepted that, and I hear what you're saying. I've already accepted that. So the only thing that I'm defending is the fact that he is a great guy. He just have a little further he has to do that doesn't require me. I can't help him become a man. He can only do that on his own.
Then those kind of men should not be fathers.
Why not? He's a wonderful father.
Oh my effing, are you serious?
Yes.
So what I want you guys to understand, everybody keeps saying marry a single mother. Listen to the logic.
All right, the clip you just saw was Kevin Samuels basically getting frustrated by a baby mama, right? Unwed mother. And Kevin, if you're listening, or anybody that's associated with Kevin that can get me the link to the original, because I didn't get this from Kevin. It was actually, I can't remember who the guy was from, but since the guy basically, it's a repeat of Kevin's work, I'd rather give Kevin the link and the credit for it. So Kevin, if you listen and somebody's listening, get me the link. I'll post the link to the original in the video. Hopefully Kevin has actually made this public. But anyway, I wanted Kevin to get his views. But it underscores what we've been saying for a long time. And it underscores the mindset of the American black woman, the Negro woman. You can hear it by what she's saying. There's a whole book, say Promises I Can Keep, right? That said for a long time, black women would rather be mothers than wives, because in the matriarchy, it's more important to be a mother than a wife. This goes way, way, way back into slavery, where black women as slaves were brought in to produce children for the slave master. And any man that was brought to her, she had to have a baby by, whether it was a black buck, the slave master himself, or any one of a number of people. Sometimes she had the baby out of love. She found a good man, that they were slaves together. They actually formally got married, so to speak, and she had babies for him. But that history carried out for a very long time. I've actually talked about this as far as E. Franklin Frazier's work, The American Slave Coast, the half that has never been told. Basically, this has been documented, even down to the book, Daughters of the Trade. This has been the role of black women, especially in this side of the continent, for a very long time. That's why the vast majority of them were brought here to be bred, to actually breed servants for us. In fact, there's a document I just saw about the legal ramifications of how the child was born into slavery through the mother. So I might do that one day. I don't know if I'll put that up on Patreon or I'll put that up on YouTube. I'm so far behind on Patreon. So my patrons, I apologize. It's a lot of stuff that I have to do that would do for Patreon is really detailed. And I just don't put just any video up there. But anyway, continuing. Without the slavery format, even the format of Jim Crow, or the Jim Crow so-called patriarchy, which wasn't a patriarchy, a gynocracy of Jim Crow that they forced us into, black women still follow the same pattern. 67, I think it's 67, maybe 70% of black women have children by more than one man. And it's not that it's a recent phenomenon. That's always been true. Even my own family, I've got people that are older, that were closer to what we call slavery, constantly have children by multiple men. And so even the ideal coming out of this kind of mindset was to only have children by one man. As my grandmother used to say, get hit by the same bus. But down south, that idea still exists, by men having children by more than one woman and women having children by more than one man. And the only real reason this stuff is kind of slowed down is because of child support. Black men are so afraid to get black women pregnant outside of wedlock that's why you see a growing number of black men that are actually refusing fatherhood, because they don't want to get caught up in a state, in the law, because the law in the state has not ever been friendly toward black men. But that's an aside. I actually put up a video called Do Black Women Want to Be a Village Wife? Because that is very similar to the kind of black love that womanists and black feminists actually espouse, where they can go from man to man, husband to husband, or called serial monogamous. When they get bored of one man, they go to the next, to the next, to the next, until they finally find one that they can be happy with, or get too old to where they have to settle down. And by that time, they could have had children by 2 or 3 different men. And this kind of mindset that's been around for a long time, because E. Franklin Frazier kind of really highlighted that. And maybe after this, I do this video, because I don't want to include it with this video because it'll be really long. I might go back into the book E. Franklin Frazier, because I've actually done a video talking about this and actually showing this out of Frazier's book. But I might actually go back and revisit that book and show you exactly how persistent this idea actually is. Because in the black community, and I'm not saying that's completely bad, in the black community, it is more important to keep your children and be a mother than it is to keep a man or keep a husband. In the white world, or with a white woman, normally sometimes if the husband is a better parent and the woman really doesn't want to hold on to her children, she just give the children to the father and she'll leave. That happens all the time if a white woman has children by a black man and she gets tired of being in the black world. She just gives the children to the father and leave. Okay, black women will never do that. There's no way a black woman, if she has children by any man of any group, that she's going to give the children to the father, is because the Gynocracy has taught her that it is shameful to give up your children. And you being a mother or a matriarch is more important than you being a wife. So is it more acceptable? Is it more acceptable to have the babies in wedlock? It's more practical, it's more acceptable. You actually get a higher honor. But the thing is, in no way is it unacceptable for black women to have children out of wedlock. There's a lot of women that were married, never got divorced, split up with her husband, and got with the next guy and had a baby for him. Like this woman said, it was no big deal for her to have a baby for this guy without marriage, because he's a quote unquote good father, and plus he's a quote unquote decent guy, but he wasn't quote unquote good enough to be a husband. And I know it blows Kevin's mind that the best way to do it, and everybody knows the best way to do it, is to get married first. But in black women's minds, as you can hear, that is not necessary, because to a black woman, her having a baby by you is being married to you. And I think that's in a black woman's mindset. You can divorce her, okay, and you can leave and get yourself another woman and not be tied to her. But once she has your child, you guys are tied through blood forever. And I've seen that in my own personal life, that if you don't throw out the ring fast enough, sometimes you don't have to throw out the ring at all. If she likes you enough, she's gonna have a baby for you. And there's not enough shame in black culture, especially by the black females, to actually prevent women from having babies out of wedlock, especially now that the state will come in and help you with the baby. Black women actually look at that as a plus, because black women don't think black men are really worth very much as a husband. Because like she said, I mean, you have to be a perfect guy to be a husband for her, but you don't have to be anything to be a father to her child. That's how warped this the American black culture actually is. American black female culture is. And she's not the first one, but the thing is, she was more honest than most black mothers. She's actually perfectly honest, because she didn't see anything wrong with it. She probably got a baby shower for each child she had out of wedlock, and I've seen that many, many times. In fact, there was one woman in my comment section, one of my female trolls, they used to pop in all the time. And even she complained about her niece that was having her 5th child by a fifth baby father, and we're having her 5th baby shower. And she said she was not going to spend another dime on that woman's baby showers, because she wasn't doing it right away. You know, there was no marriage, no help, and the whole family had to come in and help out with these children that this woman actually put upon them, which is what a village wife would do. You can have as many kids by as many different men as you want, and the responsibility is spread throughout the whole village. And a lot of black women espouse to that. They don't care, because the burden is not completely on them. They're going to get plenty of help with that child. And if they can't get plenty of help with that child, even though they put themselves in that position, they're going to whine and complain, which you see most single mothers whining and complaining all the time, like, I'm not getting enough help. Like, it's expected that the whole community, including the father, was going to go above and beyond to help you with this child, even though you made a unitary, singular decision. You didn't include everybody else in your decision that you would get help. And it's not like they do it one time, they do it 2, 3, 4 times. And then when you ask women like this, why did you do it? They give you all these counter arguments. But the bottom line, it comes down to, it's no big deal to birth a child. No big deal to bring another baby into the mix. In other words, the baby's no big deal. We'll just stretch whatever resources we already have. So if you're feeding 2 kids, you got housing 2 kids, the third one comes along. Okay, well, everybody will get a little less to actually include this one. It's not devastating. It's not a problem. It's not even a burden. It's just, okay, we'll just, we'll, instead of splitting it 2 ways, we'll split it 3 ways. And then, if the baby daddy doesn't pay enough money or pay enough blood money, we'll put him in jail. And we'll hound him over whatever resources he had, even though he wasn't really included in the decision. He just fell into a trap, which is why Black women wonder why single mothers have such a bad reputation in this particular culture. Why SYSBM people actually have given single mothers, and Black single mothers especially, a bad rap. White single mothers have just started doing this stuff pretty recently, even though it's still looked down upon in white culture to get pregnant outside of wedlock. But in Black culture, it's always been celebrated. Yeah, you might beat her ass if excuse my French, if she gets pregnant by a dude. You might even hold her accountable for the next few years. But the thing is, everybody's going to pitch in and take care of the baby. And what used to happen, and I've had a few people from the South tell me back then, what happened back then is that if a young girl had a baby out of wedlock, oh yeah, she'd get that baby birth, but they would actually do something to her to where she could not have a baby again. They would scar her internally to where she couldn't have a baby again. They'd only limit her to 1. You can only make this mistake once. There was an unwritten code back then. If you never married and you were young, you had a baby out of wedlock, if a Black doctor got a hold of you, you could only make that mistake once, because the family would say, make sure that she can't do it again. And they would raise the baby. They'd raise the baby as theirs, and they would take good care of that baby. But they only allowed that woman to actually put that kind of burden on the family and the community once. Not saying that it's right, but that's what used to happen. That's what I heard used to happen. And it's because of mindsets just like this young lady. And I do believe she said she had 4. I could be wrong, because I watched the clip and I didn't see the whole interaction. But what I am saying is that this is typical behavior, and it is fed by the Gynocracy. And people think this is a recent phenomenon. It is not. It is not a recent phenomenon. This mindset has been fed for a very long time. It's been fed for a very long time, especially amongst the females. And once the county came in to support the females having these babies like this, it's been a wrap. That's where the Monahan scissors comes from. There's a video back from 1987 that says the exact same thing, that the women fathers were significantly important in raising a child, and she didn't want to get married because she didn't want to take care of a man too. It is what it is. But that's all I got for this one. I didn't want to make this one too long. Just peep game. Especially single mothers nowadays, they're not what I grew up with. Even the ones in like the video in the 80s, right? These aren't the same women. They aren't the same kind of women. They don't even have the same kind of code, even though the code was never that strict in the first place. But the code nowadays is considerably worse. This kind of single motherhood is actually celebrated. So beware, folks. Beware, guys. Don't get caught. Don't fall into that trap. Use your wand carefully. Discipline yourself. And don't make a mistake of actually falling into traps like this. Anyway, this is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.